This is case number 1, Darby versus Patty. This is Will Doctor.
I'm defending Patty.
And Lexi Barlow. I'm defending Darby. This is Darby. We'll go ahead and start.
So we're here today to discuss Darby's statements about Patty. Patty's the mayor's wife, and Darby referred to Patty as a snob who was so cutthroat that she said very nasty things about her closest friend when that friend applied for a membership to an exclusive private women's club for which Patty is a member. Those statements are defamatory towards Patty and her husband, who is the standing mayor. And I believe that Darby said these things out of in a defamatory way to try to make sure that the mayor does not keep his job.
Do you want to ask Darby any questions?
How you're gonna start?
Your Honor, if I go on.
Go for it.
So to clarify, my client Darby called Patty a snob. So just to clarify, in regards to defamation, the word snob is kind of objective. So similar to the word stupid or ugly, Darby's definition of snob could be totally different from Patty's or even mine.
Would you like to ask Darby any questions?
Did you intend to hurt Patty's feelings?
Not at all.
Did you intend to hurt how she's seen in the public eye?
Not at all.
I'll call Darby to the stand. Well, what's your case stating that how these statements aren't defamatory in your eyes?
Can you repeat that again?
How are these statements not defaming Patty?
I was
And why did you listen to the local gossip group when obviously they're the local gossip group?
because I was trying to support my friend's campaign, and I was willing to do whatever it takes.
Okay,
To
and
make a success.
what's your case that these statements are not defamatory towards Patty?
I didn't really know what they wanted me to say.
I'm going to go through this list of the seven ways that makes a statement defamatory, and the first one is obviously the statement is defamatory. Your statement is putting down Patty and defaming the mayor, who's your husband. The statement is false, which it is. You heard it from a group of liars. And the statement is a factual assertion as opposed to an opinion or joke. You said this at a public rally supporting your friend who's running for mayor. It's obviously not going to be a joke. The statement is about a valid plaintiff, which the mayor is a pretty valid plaintiff. The statement was published. It was published all over the news and in print. The defendant acted with the requisite level of fault. And the plaintiff suffered damages, which the mayor will probably suffer damages from your statements because not everyone thinks his wife's a snob. Do you have any?
No, I get it. So what would you like me to say?
You're guilty of all those.
I don't know. I'm guilty of all of those, but if I'm trying to be like, if I want to defend myself, I would say no.
Thank you.
Because there is food.
Your Honor, can I clarify one thing and make it my next case? So just to clarify, the plaintiff is not the mayor, it's the mayor's wife, Patty. Thank you. And then also, my client, Darby, did get the information from the local gossip. That is true. But since that information originated from the local gossip, if we're really looking for someone to blame, it would be them for the factual errors, and they were therefore not original claims made by Darby. That is all.
Thank you. Will, do you have anything for that?
I believe since the wife is married to the mayor and they share everything, I believe that they come as a pair, and I feel like them being married, if you're gonna, the wife comes as a team when it comes for running. And when you defame someone on the team, it's gonna hurt the person at the top of the chain. And, that's all.
Yes, so I understand where Will is coming from, but Darby said the claims at a political rally with a certain number of people at the event. Meanwhile, the paper and media, not my client here, published the statements about what Darby said to a much larger audience. So if someone should be liable for defamation, it should be the print and news media.
Would you like to move on, make a new point, or you can go off of that?
I have like 2 minutes to think. I mean,
Your Honor, I can make another point. So, in regards to defamation, it needs to be proven that an individual's reputation was negatively impacted to have an actual claim. Patty had already been rejected from the women's club prior to Darby's comments. Sheila had already been rejected from the women's club prior to Darby's comments, not to mention that Patty is not the actual candidate running for mayor. Her husband was the current mayor. The major impact of Darby's comments was the canceling of a lunch with Patty that Sheila had several weeks before the upcoming rally.
I'd like to bring Darby to stand again.
Again.
What's your relationship with the mayor that you put on this rally for?
It's just like business wise. Like, I'm supporting his candidacy, that's it.
Did your statements have anything to do with what he told you to say?
No.
That's all.
Your Honor, the last point I have, so defamation applies specifically to public officials or public figures. At the time of Darby speaking at the rally, Patty was not publicly part of her husband's campaign or political activities, therefore not really validating her as a public figure or official. So in regards to this case and my client being sued for defamation, it really doesn't apply to him because Patty was, to say the least, irrelevant during the time.
So when your client saw that statement on the script, did he not think at all not to say this? I mean, what when you read the script, didn't you know that was defamatory? I mean, it's saying that this lady is a snob who's the mayor's wife, the leader of the people.
Your Honor, if I may, when it comes to politics, it's often for trash talking to occur. It does happen, and as I mentioned before, the word snob is objective. So Darby's definition of it could be completely different from Patty's and or Mr. Doctor's here.
Do you have any rebuttals?
Yeah, I kind of stated mine. Good.
I thought you were gonna do the cases from the book. Are you not gonna do those?
No, because it doesn't help me.
Okay.
Just like them on the intro.
Well, the examples I lose.
You want to win?
I mean, that is the goal.
The examples would not help my case.
No, I know.
I don't know what else to argue with this. I mean,
I think
like,
he can only do so much.
Yeah.
So I think now it's going to be mostly your time to talk. And
Okay, great.
if you have any questions.
did I miss anything?
No, I
Okay.
don't think you did. No. The big thing is I would, like, the claims I made, like the actual ones, like in regards to like the definition and stuff, like I think that you should reiterate them. So do you want to just see this? There you go.
Oh gosh. So you just want me to like repeat what snob and defamation, like the definitions are? Or
Yeah.
did you get these like off of, where'd you get them? The
No,
definitions?
that's from the textbook.
Okay. I don't know how to do this. Just
Or,
go.
well, you can just say, well, after several hours of consideration, you're the final thoughts for the jury.
Okay, great. For the jury? We don't have a jury.
Oh,
Okay, great.
You know what I mean?
Michelle. Okay, so after some consideration, I would like to reiterate that defamation applies specifically to public officials. And as Alexi pointed out, Patty was not a public official or a part of the political campaign at the time. I would also like to reiterate that snob is something used objectively and everyone has a different definition of what that means. So in the case of Patty versus Darby, Alexi and Darby win this case. Congratulations. Yay.
Not guilty of defamation.
Not guilty of defamation. Good job, Will. Good job.
Okay, all right.
These were good points. Honestly, you brought one up and you were like, what did you say? Oh, the all 7 reasons. I was like, ooh,
He's laughing like.
that shit was a dick. But
That's
then
how-
she was like, she's not a part of the campaign. I
That was
"That's
that was
accurate."
my only big punch, and then it just kind of slowly down.
Good job. Yay. That was probably like